Parker Gates, at 15 years old, was building crystal radios, which he dreamed up, I guess, on his own, and with his mom and his dad in 1922 formed the Gates Radio and Supply Company.
The war was over. Johnny came marching home, and boy, did he have ideas about the future. The power of radio to entertain and inform was clear. The owners of Quincy newspapers knew it, and they knew native son Parker Gates.
My dad, in 1947, got us the permit to develop the first FM station in our market. Parker Gates, being in that business, was a great mentor for us, and as a matter of fact, we used his equipment and his expertise to help us as we got into the FM business.
Gates was an inventor and entrepreneur who had already been building everything from turntables to transmitters for the war effort. The marriage between the two came easy, and all but overnight, Quincy Broadcasting was created, and it was music. 1947, what later became WGEM FM, hit the airwaves for the first time. Then, months later, Quincy Broadcasting, with Gates as one of its shareholders and directors, bought fledgling WGEM AM. That transmitter that Gates built for WGEM AM, you know what? It still functions to this day.
This transmitter that we're on now is the auxiliary to the auxiliary.
Our company actually purchased the 40-acre site and conveyed it to them, and that kept the plant in Quincy. I guess it's fair to say that we're really proud that Parker's company is still in our hometown in Quincy, Illinois.
Gates hadn't broken into TV technology when WGEM television debuted, but it was a Gates transmitter that took WGEM TV to full-time living color.
On NBC.
We bought the first television transmitter that company made, the very first one.
That was in '69. In 1974, the Quincy Broadcasting Gates marriage began to grow into a full-blown family. Quincy bought more stations in the Midwest. The very first color studio cameras with Gates stamped on the side debuted in Quincy and then across the Quincy station group. Meanwhile, through the 70s and into the 80s with radio in its heyday, Quincy did the beta test for the Gates radio automation systems. Then came the thrill of live TV news on the scene. One of the very first Harris-built live vans was for WGEM in Quincy. That was in '93, followed for years with van after van at station after station. Hey, do you remember when we were in the space race back in the 60s, neck and neck with the Soviets getting to space? Astronaut John Glenn first to orbit the Earth. Well, you may recall in 1998 when, by then, Senator John Glenn went back to space.
And liftoff of Discovery with a crew of 6 astronaut heroes and 1 American legend.
It was Harris that produced and delivered the very first nationwide live HD broadcast of the entire event. It aired on Quincy stations.
This telecast of today's launch was the first live news broadcast done in high-definition television, and Channel 27 was one of only a few stations across the country able to broadcast today in HD TV.
Then came that horrid day here in New York, 9/11.
America is forever changed after the worst terrorist attack in U.S. history.
So many lives lost. On the very top of the World Trade Center was a Harris-built antenna for the local stations. A piece of it is now a memorial in Quincy so that none of us forget. Later that year, Quincy Broadcasting chose the OSI traffic system. Partnering with Harris, we helped grow it into a system capable of driving centralized traffic and billing for an entire group of stations and networks. Not only do we use it that way to this day, groups of all market sizes regularly come to Quincy to learn how it's done.
It's important to us to have a great working relationship with our software vendor. That includes having input and direction as the product grows.
As thrilling as all of that has been, the synergy between these two companies has never been stronger than it is in the past few years. Together, we took all our stations digital. Together, we pioneered the Selenia, which allows multiple HD streams to be broadcast on a single TV channel.
Having those local ties with the Selenial product not only led to innovations for our company, but for the entire industry.
Together, we took all of our master control rooms to HD, high definition, and now are hubbing, where we operate several stations around the clock from a single room.
I think Harris has been excellent with the workflow that we have in our master controls. We wanted to automate as many steps as we possibly could, and with this new current automation, they've been able to customize our steps that electronically we import a dub list, and the next thing we know, the operators are ready to QC that spot for air.
And the future, so bright, we'll have to wear shades.
It's been a great Quincy partnership for nearly 70 years. We want it to continue for another 70. Ralph?